So you can see we have a lovely car dealership here. It's one of probably at least 5 or 6 in this stretch of 3 blocks.
Jeevan Kohli is showing me around his neighborhood of Grantville.
We've got some fast food right there, some unmarked buildings that I still don't know what they contain.
He landed here 8 years ago as a graduate student. This is the neighborhood he could afford, but he's not in love with it.
It's not particularly hip around here. There's not a lot to do. And I'd really like to be able to walk to interesting places rather than getting in my car and driving there. And so Hillcrest has a lot of great restaurants, cafes.
Hillcrest is also close to Balboa Park, where Kohli likes to go running, and it's the heart of San Diego's LGBTQ community.
For people who have queer identity, I think being in a space that feels so openly welcoming and accepting really can change your quality of life.
Kohli isn't living off a graduate student stipend anymore. He's a full-time researcher in the UCSD Neurosciences Department. But Hillcrest is still out of reach.
Yeah, I've kept my eye on kind of the prices on the apartments around there, and it's really only gotten worse.
DMV property is probably one of the finest sites possible for affordable housing, not just in Hillcrest, but in the city.
Stephen Russell is executive director of the San Diego Housing Federation and a resident of Hillcrest. We meet at the 63-year-old Hillcrest DMV. The building isn't very big, but the property is just about 3 acres. Mostly a surface parking lot with crumbling asphalt.
I think they've given up on it. They've intended to replace this facility for so long that they're not even doing basic upkeep anymore.
Russell says the property is surrounded by dense housing, and the neighborhood needs more of it for all income levels.
Folks who are getting high-paid jobs in the tech sector, who want all the lifestyle qualities that Hillcrest brings, are willing to pay even if the apartment is perhaps an older, functionally obsolete building. But given the choice, they would many times choose to live in something newer with more amenities and leave that unit on the market perhaps for someone who is lower income.
The state knows this property needs replacement. One effort to build a mixed-use project here fell apart in 2012. Then in 2018, the DMV proposed a project with no housing and a 7-foot-tall wrought iron fence around the perimeter. The proposal was universally panned, and the DMV was told to start over and create a project with housing.
You need to have a DMV facility somewhere here in central San Diego, and this still makes sense for that purpose.
Chris Ward represents Hillcrest in the state assembly. He met with the DMV last year and says they promised to assess what they need in a new facility. Many of their services have moved online, so maybe they could get by with a smaller footprint. But he checked in last month, and that assessment is still in the works.
And I just don't feel like a lot has been done over the last year, certainly not to my satisfaction. So I do intend to up my levels of communication and really press this. And if this comes in the form of legislation that needs to be introduced in January when I get back to Sacramento, so be it. I hope that we're not going to wait another 5 or 10 years to see the right program for this site eventually move forward. But I'm here in my time as the state assembly member for this district to be able to help support the evolution of this site and certainly be something that's more multi-purpose in nature.
And I had always kind of hoped that I could eventually make my way over to somewhere like Hillcrest.
Jeevan Kohli says he hopes the state government can just cut through the bureaucracy and get it done.
People in San Diego need affordable housing. People outside of San Diego who would like to live here need affordable housing. And so having that space and just kind of sitting on that is a really unfortunate missed opportunity, and it would be nice if we could utilize that in one way or another.
Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.